Hey everybody! I think I have just gone live. This thing's always a little bit interesting starting the process on here. So, yesterday I woke up and my channel had hit 4 million total lifetime views for the channel in general in its entire history. Then I woke up today and I hit 30,000 subscribers. Thank you guys so much for making that happen by being subscribers, by watching regularly, by commenting, by clicking that little like button. It means the world to me, and we were just talking about this, a week ago, that when I started this channel, you were asking me, like, did you ever imagine you'd actually have this many subscribers that we could do live streams and, 50, 100 people would jump? Like, you were just asking, if you're wondering, my wife is right over here. We were just talking about that, and then a few days later hit two major, huge milestones for my channel, and I went into this year with some really ambitious goals for what I wanted my channel to do. And I'm already surpassing them. I'm so far ahead of them that I had to expand my goals, and I'm already outpacing those goals as well. And that's all because of your support, everything you guys are doing to make this channel happen by watching all that fun stuff that you guys do. So I wanted to do a live Ask Me Anything. Pretty sure we're going to try and make this a weekly thing. If you want to just start throwing in there which days of the week and things like that might be best for you guys, we're trying to figure out what we think would work for you guys, but it's been going well the last few weeks, so we thought we would chime in and or ask for your input on when we might try and do this on a more regular basis. Are we starting to get questions in? All right, we're already starting to get questions in. Just so you guys know, we get a lot of questions when we do these live streams. The best way to make sure your question absolutely gets asked is to put it in as a super chat. Every single super chat, we will acknowledge it, we will say your name on screen, and we will ask your question so long as it's not wildly inappropriate. Occasionally people in the comment section like to get a little bit saucy, and we won't be encouraging sauciness, but once again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. What's our first question of the day?
Who is your favorite Chris? I think we talked about that before.
Chris Webster, the guy that sang at our wedding. All right, so our Marvel... Well, actually, we won't even just limit it to Marvel. So we got Hemsworth, Pratt, Evans, Pine. Those are the 4 Chris's?
I think so.
All great. We love all 4, right? Mm-hmm. In all the ways. I think not Evans. I won't go Evans. I think I just got to go Pratt. I think I would go with the Pratt because he seems so normal. I think he got A-level fame late enough in life that he was just real balanced in the head by the time he kind of got there. And so he's super cool on social media. Just even kind of his rise to fame is pretty cool. You can look, there's on the, I think it's the behind the scenes bloopers stuff for like season 2 of Parks and Rec. He does this video of himself pretending like he's on the phone with Steven Spielberg, joking about, hey man, I can't star in Jurassic Park 4, too busy. Like, it's this whole joke about him being cast in Jurassic Park 4 5 years before he was cast in it. So just all this sorts of fun stuff like that just makes him so down to earth, such a fun guy. And the fact that, he's just... that he was kind of the dopey, chubby guy on Parks and Rec, and then he's like this shredded guy in these other movies. So just such a fun story. I love seeing people that it wasn't just like it felt like they got fame out of nowhere or just super young, but people that worked hard for a long time that just seemed like legitimate, nice people, and it paid off in the end. So I'll go with the Pratt. And you guys keep telling me I look like him in the comment section, so I feel a little bit like I need to say it. Which Chris do you think I look like?
I still think you look like Dax Shepard.
Dax Shepard. She says I look like Dax Shepard. So let me know in the comment section or in the chat board. What do you guys think? Do I look like Dax Shepard or Chris Pratt? Next question.
Who do you think will kill Thanos?
Who do I think will kill Thanos? I don't know that I have too much speculation that far. Like those sorts of details. Like I stopped watching. I watched the 2 main trailers they put out. I did not watch. I don't watch TV spots. I don't watch the clips. I don't even read the articles with the speculation on Avengers 4 and stuff like that. I catch some of it here and there, but I don't want to know too much. And like when people start talking about, well, in the movie there's going to be a battle over here and a battle over here and half the people are here and half the... I try to avoid those types of details. So even in my speculative videos, it's somewhat intentionally ignorant on my part to not try and know everything and put a cohesive plan together of what it is. So I don't really have a good guess. There, when you have whether you have characters like Nebula and Gamora that have such a strong history with him, there's a lot of dramatic weight to having them be the ones to take him out. Likewise, when you've got Drax, who's someone that's been so wronged by him, and then when you've got several soldiers in the mix that seem like their time is coming, there's a lot of weight to it. But I don't have any sort of theory as to which person.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you have a favorite movie villain?
Favorite movie villain? A couple come to mind would be Hans Gruber.
Oh,
Pretty safe pick. Is an obvious pick, safe pick for obvious reasons for greatest villain in an action movie. That would be the original Die Hard. The great Alan Rickman as just this guy with an evil plan that's likable. You spend a bunch of time with him. All these sorts of things, that he's a great Rickman character that has a scheme, that he's just this guy that I don't want to, if you guys haven't seen him, you've either seen or you don't, so I don't want to go into plot details or anything like that. So he's an obvious one. Khan from Star Trek 2, opposite types of villains too, because with Hans Gruber, it's a guy he's just greedy. The other one is a guy that has wrath in The Wrath of Khan, Star Trek 2, The Wrath of Khan. Those ones comes to mind.
Have you seen Krypton?
I have not seen Krypton at all yet. We don't have cable. We've never had cable. And most of the TV shows we watch are almost all streaming. Almost everything we watch is streaming. With kids, it's really difficult to even watch shows when they come on live. So the other problem I run into is that people have told me you can go to sci-fi.com and they can stream it on their website. Well, I'm not going to watch a TV show on my laptop. That's really difficult for me to do. Also because I watch a lot of things while editing video and things like that. And so the idea that I'd be editing video on one thing and then watching Krypton on another thing, I wouldn't be watching it. I would just be listening to it. I couldn't even be doing this number. And that doesn't work well with a video card on the laptop to be editing video while watching a TV show. So I just haven't seen it. I want to. I meant to. I would, like if it was on Hulu, we would have watched it the day after it debuted. Or if it was on some other app that is available on my PlayStation 4 or Apple TV. So if someone knows where I can watch it on how I can watch it on my Apple TV or my PlayStation 4, I'm open to it as long as it doesn't involve me being a pirate.
I almost watched it without you.
You almost watched Krypton without me? Mm-hmm. How? Why? Where?
When I was traveling for work. It was at the hotel.
Oh.
But I didn't.
You didn't even mention that. It's like all these secrets.
Why would I mention it? Hey, I almost watched a show without you.
Krypton, a Superman show.
But I didn't watch it, so there's nothing to say. True. Okay. Sorry. What will you do if Infinity War sucks?
So, put out a video a couple days ago. I thought, well, I guess I put it out yesterday. It's been a long couple of days. Exploring the possibility that what if Infinity War sucks? There's a few things that it could potentially not be the greatest movie of all time. Because we've had if you've been watching movies long enough, had enough movies you've been so excited for. Phantom Menace. It's been 20 years. How could George Lucas mess this up? You talk about Indiana Jones, the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. It's Steven Spielberg's back. We got George Lucas. How could they screw this up? Spider-Man 3, it's coming after those two amazing Sam Raimi movies. How could they screw this up? Everybody's coming back. Even a lot of people really didn't like Age of Ultron. It was like, Joss Whedon has to come back and do this movie. It's going to be the best ever. Look at these trailers. And then you watch the movie, and it certainly didn't. It wasn't as good as most of us wanted it to be. And that's, I'd say it's a very good movie, but it's not as good as the original one. It's not as good as we were hoping it would be. So that leads to the situation. Going into this movie, I just want to be realistic. I just want to base my opinions on actual history, which is to say that everyone has a bad day. Everyone strikes out at some point in time. Everyone has some time where they just go off the rails and they make some decisions that are not so great. So what will I do if it sucks? I mean, I don't think it'll be all that interesting for me. I think if the general consensus is that it sucks, it'll just be disappointing. It'll be essentially my reaction to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Well, that's not a good fair one because a lot of you guys like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. But for me as an individual, it will be like my reaction to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I wanted to love this, I just didn't. Now the question is, what if the audience is divided? And then I would say, once again, if I'm the one that's on the suck side, it'll feel very much like the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 situation. That's probably the best point of reference in the history of my channel for a movie I was so excited for, loved everything going into it, liked the marketing for it, and saw the movie, and I was just like, oh, this just doesn't work for me. So there you go. And if we all kind of, I think the interesting question is, what if we all think it sucks? What if, it's a 40% Rotten Tomatoes? What if it's Justice League at only 40% on Rotten Tomatoes? And it's like, ooh, this is the biggest misfire in the history of the MCU. What if we all think that? What does that mean for Avengers 4 next year? Is that one going to box office just drops off? That's where it gets interesting. And the whole MCU kind of gets rocked once they strike out. Once they actually botch it, it's interesting.
Sorry. When are you going to see I, Tonya?
When do you see I, Tonya?
Tyler.
It's Tyler Tompkins. So I, Tonya movie, Oscar bait movie that came out last year. I almost got to see it 2 months before it came out at the Austin Film Festival. My friend takes me to a lot of the press screenings and stuff and goes to film festivals. The film festival I did go to see last year, I went to it with him. And he invited me to see I, Tonya in like October, something like that. I mean, it was over a month before the movie came out. And, I got 2 kids, wife. It's difficult for me to drop things. People get sick. And then I took a bunch of days off for the film festival I went to. I didn't have a lot of extra days off. So I don't remember exactly why I didn't go see it, but I didn't go see it. I kind of wish I had. And then fall hit, and my channel, ever since Thor Ragnarok came out, my channel's kind of gone in a different direction. And so most of you guys that are watching probably have subscribed since then. You've subscribed in the last 6 months based off the growth of my channel, statistically speaking. That's most likely. Tyler, you've been around a long time. But my channel's changed. It's gotten a lot more Marvel-y, a lot more rank-heavy, that type of thing. And it's less of just a movie review channel. Where I started, it was like, I'm going to talk about movie news and do movie reviews. And that's a very crowded space. So I've moved in different directions from there. In which case, I, Tonya, when it finally hit wide release, it's a movie I could watch it, and I could review it, and it would get a small number of views for my channel. It doesn't really move me in any direction, so it just never ended up happening, which is kind of funny. Like now I do talk about movies on the internet. Saw over 100 movies last year, and I saw like 3 of the movies nominated for Best Picture. There's like 9 movies nominated for Best Picture. I saw like 3 of them, which means it should tell you just how much credibility as a sophisticated film critic I have. That's not me. I'm a guy just like you. I was in the comment sections. I was commenting on other people's videos, on other people's blogs and stuff like that. I just like to talk about movies like a normal person. I like to be entertained. And so I don't see as much of the sophisticated stuff. Yes, you've got your hand up.
We've got 2 super chats.
Oh, we got some super chats coming in. Thank you guys so much. What do we got?
Can I have a shout out to my Insta at Sebastian.Boyce_24?
Does he have a question?
Nope.
All right, say that one more time so we can say that nice and clear. So we got a shout out for someone who gave a
Sebastian
super
Boyce.
For Sebastian Boyce. Go check out, possibly subscribe to his Instagram channel. I guess
we haven't seen it yet.
What?
We haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, we haven't seen it yet because I just heard about it. So I guess we'll try and mark this so I can go over there and follow you myself. Say that one more time.
At Sebastian.Boyce_24.
Something like that. Thank you so much for the super chat. Who's next?
Adam Grunther, how would you rank the main villains in Arrow?
Oh, I'd have to let me think about that. That was a little bit tricky because I think through the seasons of it. So Arrow's a show. I mean, right out of the gate, I was there from the get-go watching Arrow. Excited. I actually tried to pirate it when they did debuts at like Comic-Con to see if I could get it early. That's how excited I was for Arrow, because I'd been waiting ever since Green Arrow showed up with Justin Hartley on Smallville for an Arrow show to happen. And I've fallen behind. I'm a little bit behind on this season. But we've spent an enormous amount of time watching Arrow. You've gotten fried on it. You're done with it. You're done with it. So how would I rank the main villains? I'd have to... I think Damien Dark's at the bottom. Then the guy from last year, who is he?
I don't know.
Prometheus. I didn't hate Prometheus. Like, Damien Dark's way down here. And I like that actor, Neil McDougall. I like him, but just what they did with Damien Dark, I didn't feel like it worked with the show and the season in general didn't work. Then season 5 guy, I didn't care for him too much. What they did with him, it didn't work for me. A lot of you guys love it. I wasn't crazy about it. Then I'll go Ra's al Ghul. I really like their take on Ra's al Ghul. This season had some other things in it I wasn't crazy about, but Ra's al Ghul, I wish would have gotten more time with him. Really, is what my biggest issue with it is, that we could have spent more time, because he's a great villain. And then right at the top, we're kind of tied, would be Malcolm Merlyn and Deathstroke. And they're similar in the certain nature of they're both they go back and forth between good and bad. Both very cool villains. So that's how I'd rank them. Thank you so much for the super chat.
We got another super chat.
Another super chat, thank you.
Some guy that exists.
Some guy that exists.
Would like to know who would win, the Flash or Quicksilver?
Based on my understanding of their actual abilities and the speeds at which they can go... What we've seen of Flash in comics, movies, and everything, this guy's time travel fast. And we haven't seen time travel fast out of Quicksilver that I'm aware of. I could be wrong, but even in the running around in the kitchen scene, whether you're going X-Men universe, whether you're going Ultron, I don't think we've seen time travel fast. And Flash, he can vibrate and run through walls. There's all sorts of crazy stuff the Flash can do with the Speed Force. So if we're talking about running around in circles... I'm giving it to the Flash.
Got two more super chats.
Two more super chats. Thank you guys so much.
Sebastian Boyce, what's your favorite DC CW show, including Black Flash?
Black Lightning.
I'm sorry, Black Lightning.
Black
I'm
Lightning.
sorry, my bad. As soon as I said it, I realized what I had done. I'm so sorry.
Out of those shows, it's a little bit tough because I think Arrow, the highs of Arrow, I think are the highest for me, but the qualities, it's dropped off quite a bit. Flash dropped off a little bit last season, but not as much as Arrow's dropped off as times. If we're talking about I'm on an island, I get to pick one of these shows to take with me, I would take Arrow with me. It's just a little bit more of my type of show, a little bit darker, like Stephen Amell, a little bit more vengeance and killing people to it. That's the show that I would take. So I'd go with Arrow for that one. But Flash, they're doing this number. And if Flash finishes out its entire run without having the big gigantic dips that Arrow's had, Flash could take it. You would say Flash, right?
I'm sorry, what the question?
Arrowverse TV shows?
Oh, yeah, Flash.
Not Legends of Tomorrow?
Negative.
But they had that Titanic episode.
That was hilarious. That was the winning episode for me. They got major props for that, but I still don't like the show much.
Yeah, it's different. And I'm way behind on Legends of Tomorrow and Supergirl and Black Lightning.
Black Flash.
Black Flash. So CW used to be on Hulu, and that's how I watched those shows for the most part. Like I tried to do when I would do the reviews and stuff, I'd watch them live using bunny ears at my house, which is really stressful because I don't have great reception at my house. But I have kids that that's when they're going to bed, and so it was stressful, it was difficult, and so I started watching them just on Hulu. And then it got dropped from Hulu. And so it's just really tough for me to watch these shows, unfortunately. Otherwise, I'd be caught up and I might do a lot more reviews for them.
Beta Ray, Bill in Infinity War, or even Avengers 4.
Is that
I'm sorry. Yes, it's super chat
super
from
chat.
Excel Darlick.
Excel Darlick. Thank you for the super chat. Beta Ray Bill, what was it?
In Infinity War or even Avengers 4, ?
My guess, I think... The speculation I'd kind of heard would be more in the direction of Guardians 3. It seems like the type of... I don't know a ton about Beta Ray Bill, so I'm speaking a little bit from ignorance here. The speculation I've heard over the years and just the nature of how you've already got... You take Infinity War, 24 people on the poster, and that's not including Ant-Man, Hawkeye, and Loki. 24 people already. Are we going to then squeeze Beta Ray Bill and Howard the Duck and these other characters? Are we going to do that in this movie? Are we going to do that in Avengers 4, which is just going to be just as crowded? I don't think so. And so that's where I think what they're trying to do with Guardians of the Galaxy is that they're having Howard the Duck show up. They can have some of these other characters show up. And that would be my guess as to what they're going to do is you'll get some of those kind of little bit more interesting, deeper cuts in Guardians of the Galaxy, which is a franchise that in and of itself, it's designed to be weird. It's designed to be able to give us a talking planet. So,
oh my gosh.
That was scary. Speaking of scary, right before we did this video, my wife went in the backyard, and I was about to take a nap, and she starts whispering, and she's outside.
Shouting.
She's outside going, and I heard it. I was like, am I like daydreaming? I go outside, and she's holding a shovel, like going to war with something. And I look down, and the smallest snake you've ever seen is there. And she's like, I think it's a rattler, but I don't see a rattle. It could be a copperhead. What does a copperhead look like? It's a water moccasin, even though it's not in water.
I'm so sorry. Wait.
So I went and grabbed the kid.
Who's running your chat board right now?
I don't remember.
Maybe you should be kinder.
I'm being
and not lie.
You were trying to protect our family, so I
was endanger the children.
So I went and grabbed our kids and was like, "Hey kids, look, a snake. Want to pet it? I'll grab it for you." And then the snake just starts like towards the kids just a little bit. My wife starts like swinging the shovel at them, and the snake freaks out and starts like attacking the shovel. And then the kids were like on top of this Jeep thing, and it starts to like slide underneath that. And so then I punch the snake in the face to slow it down a little bit, jump, grab the kids, roll through the dirt, throw them inside. We go back to look for the snake underneath this Jeep thing, and it's gone. Like it's just vanished. And I'm walking around barefoot in the backyard. I put honey and stuff and blood to try and get it to come and attack my feet or something to save my kids. And we couldn't find it. A snake disappeared in our backyard. A gigantic, very small vampire snake. Do we got any more questions?
We do. We have a Snapchat from
Snapchat. Wow, someone sent us a Snapchat? Wow, cool.
A super chat.
Super chat.
Frem's critic, consider ranking vids of actors, i.e. DiCaprio and Damon.
So the suggestion.
Yes.
So the suggestion is that, so normally I'm known for ranking movie franchises and sometimes characters inside the MCU and comic book characters. And so the recommendation is that I rank actors doing movies. I am very much want to do that and keep planning on doing it. It would
Marvel
probably
just keeps releasing movies.
It would probably turn into like a top 5, bottom 5 for most actors because it gets a little bit tricky. Because you say Leonardo DiCaprio. Leonardo DiCaprio was in Critters 3 back in 1990. So am I going to throw Critters 3 in the mix? It gets a little bit tricky with actors and the amount of roles. What do you count? So you could do like top 5 and talk about his best ones and then be like, then Leonardo DiCaprio was in Critters 3. So absolutely. Even in mapping out what videos I want to do for this year, I mapped out several actors that were ones I'd like to talk about and how to do some top videos and things like that. I need to add that into my list. I'll tell you, actually, one of the things that's been kind of holding me back a little bit on my channel of sorts as of recently, and for new subscribers, you might not have noticed this as much, but people have been around for about a year. Some people have left some comments noticing this, that I'm doing a lot more kind of comic booky stuff and not as many franchises as I used to. A lot of that simply goes back to my wife is pregnant right now, and I got a full-time job. And so and she just started a full-time job. This has had it makes our house a little more complicated than it used to be, so I can't just sit down and throw on, Inglourious Bastards and watch this really violent Tarantino movie with a bunch of foul language with my wife and kids there. And, she doesn't want to watch people getting scalped while pregnant. That's not, that's help settle her pregnant belly. It's not going to happen. And so there's just a lot of stuff I haven't been able to watch as much. I was going to do a Leprechaun-a-thon, rank all the Leprechaun movies, but she's not going to watch Warwick Davis, sawing a lady in half in Las Vegas. Like, she's not going to do that. So, once things settle down a little bit, we're going to work on that. And it's just a tease of something coming in the very near future. I posted on this on my Patreon page, but we're actually making some changes at our house. And so I'll have a new shooting space in the near future. Some things are happening. I'll keep you updated on soon. But in this new space, I'm going to kind of set it up so there is a space for me to watch movies, watch some crazier stuff that, I don't want the kids or the wife that's to watch. So just a little tease. But yes, absolutely, that's something I would be interested in doing.
We got 2 more super chats.
2 more super chats. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for the question. Next up.
I don't know if I'm going to say it right. Sorry. Garanyo wants to know, do you watch any of your subscribers? Any recommendations?
Do I watch any of my subscribers? There's a whole community of small YouTubers that movie review people that all started at the same time as me. And so basically when I started as a guy that wants to talk movies with people. That's what I still am right now. So I just went out to everyone else who had a channel that was like under 500 subscribers and was like, hey, I got a new channel. I'd love to talk movies with you. I'm going to subscribe to your channel. I'm going to comment every week and watch some of your videos. And so I subscribed to 50, 75, 100 people when I did that. And a bunch of those people have become friends of mine that I talk with every single day, watch their videos every week. So Cody Leach, Tyler Tompkins, Durbin over at Durbania, a guy named Jeff Eater. Jeff Eater's movie blog does some movie review stuff.
Slow down. You're getting hard to understand.
Dumb Drum, Ryan O'Toole. I mean, just a whole bunch of these. Zach Pope. I can't even list them all because there's a whole bunch of these guys. Mike McRock movie reviews, and they're just friends of mine that we all like to talk movies, and they got YouTube channels, and so I subscribe to their stuff. But there were peers of mine when we kind of started at the same time, and so the way you describe it as, do I watch the videos of any of my subscribers? Well, sure, there's a bunch of my peers, but the way you phrase it, there's a little bit of this. Have I subscribed to? I don't know if there's reading an implication there. This might not be there. Say that yes to your question, that there's a bunch of people that are friends of mine that I watch their stuff and do different. And I there's so many more I could list off that I'm sure I'm missing people that I'm going to be embarrassed that I didn't say their names. I wish they would have, because there's so many of these people. I made so many friends on YouTube that I collaborate with. Griffin from Men vs. Movies, and I've done a bunch of stuff with him. Adam at Almost Sideways, another good friend of mine. Rachel Wagner. Silver Screen Analysis, Anthony over there. So I wish I could remember all of them.
Okay, we got a super chat from Jacob McElveen.
Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it.
And they said, just showing appreciation for your hard work, man. So no question.
Oh, wow. We very much appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, hold on. Let me scroll back up real quick. We've got a bunch of good questions. Somebody just said...
All right, and I'm going to try and go through some quick ones.
Okay, well, someone said you should watch American Vandal with me.
That sounds like a bad suggestion. I don't know what that is, but normally when people say things like that, they're trying to create a scenario that's hilarious. I'd get a kick out of that because she'd freak out.
Disney versus Pixar?
Well, I mean, Disney owns Pixar. Feels like for the zeros, or from like right at the end of the Disney Renaissance, Pixar took over, and Pixar was the top guy until about 2010. And I think since about 2010, Disney's kind of made a big comeback. So I think the Disney Renaissance, The Little Mermaid through Tarzan, that's one of the best runs of animated films of all time. The other best run of animated films of all time is Toy Story to Toy Story 3. Both of those runs are phenomenal, the amount of quality in each of those. And movies that are rightfully considered the best animated films of all time. So, if I had to pick right now which studio I think is doing better, right now, I would go Disney. 10 years ago, Pixar. But Pixar can easily come back. And they're intertwined. John Lasseter's he was the Pixar brainchild, and then he was put over all of Disney, so they're very intertwined now. People get confused all like, isn't Wreck-It Ralph Pixar? No, it's Disney, but there's a reason we're confused by all this. And Brave, that feels like a Disney movie. No, that's Pixar.
Starlord or Stark?
It's just as pure movie stardom, talenty stuff. What Robert Downey Jr. has been able to do with Iron Man, in that sense, I would go Tony Stark. It's just one of those truly special casting, iconic performance, mixed together everything perfectly. A redemptive story of the actor himself that is incredible. As for which one is a character that just in general probably resonate a little bit more with, that sort of Indiana Jones in space with less of a moral compass of Starlord is quite appealing to me as well. So in that regard, I guess I'll go Starlord.
Have you reviewed any of the Blade movies?
The Blade movies? Mm-hmm. You did This Is Blade. What is that?
Did I?
Yeah, you went Blade. And I was
did you review? I was thinking. Did you review?
I ranked all of the Blade movies 5 days before Black Panther came out. So like February 10th or something like that. Go back a few months. I ranked the whole series. I rewatched them. I haven't done a proper review for any of them, but I ranked the whole thing. So, the quick version 1 and 2 are great. The third one, I like the cast. I like the energy. I like the interviews with the cast talking about the movie. The movie's a total mess. We rewatched it. Whenever we last rewatched it, it was weird because we had positive, fond memories of it because there's things we really liked about it and there's things too really like about it. And then you're watching like, oh wow, this is this is what a disaster of a production looks like right here. I ranked them back a couple months ago. I'll throw this one to you guys, and if you can try and track the chat board on this one. So I'm going to finish up my Journey to Infinity War series tomorrow. That's the last one for the series. Then the week after that, I've got a 1 week block there where I need to find a movie to put in there. And then a week after that, I think we're going to do the Jurassic Park movies. Does that sound fun?
Yes.
So I'm gonna do Journey to Jurassic World Part 2, just as epic as Journey to Infinity. So I'm gonna do the Jurassic Park movies just because there's a nice window to follow that up. I got 1 week there. What's one of those standalone Marvel-y movies you'd like me to throw in the mix there? So, Ghost Rider, not standalone, standalone reviews, like Ghost Rider, or, one of the Punisher movies, or tell me in the comment section, chat board, what's a standalone one that you might be interested in, if you can try and see what you want to throw up their way. What's the next question?
Oh my goodness. I'm just going to say this out loud because so many people keep repeating it, and I made a note. They want you to rank Narnia. I don't think you've even seen all the movies yet.
I haven't seen the Dawn Treader.
But I made a note. We'll watch them, and maybe that'll happen.
Can we watch them with the kids?
I have to review them. I don't remember. Probably.
The first one is a biblical allegory.
I mean, maybe.
So that's people have been mentioning that one to me for a long time. Totally on board for it. It's one of those ones I was thinking, when I can watch this with kids, that would be pretty cool to do that. But yes, I'll add that to my list. Especially to my point before of it's hard to do it with movies that I can't watch with my kids around. If that's when I can.
I think we
makes
can.
it easier.
Yeah, it's just been a long time since I've seen it.
C.S. Lewis.
That doesn't mean the movie is a good idea. Okay, sorry. I'm trying to keep track of all the suggestions for your question. Do you have a favorite Black Mirror episode?
So we've only seen 5 episodes. We haven't seen the whole show.
That's a lot.
Yeah, there's not that many. There's like 5 seasons and they're all like 4 episodes. There's like 20 episodes.
Oh,
it's
okay.
not nearly as much as it looks like. Yes. I don't know which one was our favorite. They've all been, because they're all interesting in their own way, but they're difficult to compare to each other because I don't know, how do you pick between these two things that in different ways are intriguing to you?
I don't know what your favorite one was. I think the Bryce Howard one was my favorite. Was that the first one we watched?
The Bryce Howard one with social media. That was the first one we watched, and it was shortly after watched an episode of the Orville that was like that, and so people had mentioned, this is just Black Mirror, this is just Black Mirror, so I checked it out. I was like, this is like Black Mirror. That's the one probably comes to mind, but then again, it also has a little bit of this is the first one we watched, and so then...
Got a taste for what the series was like.
Yeah, and then we watched the John Hamm one right after that, and...
Dark.
So, a bunch of different things that kind of came to mind there.
Do you think Shazam will be any good?
I want to support Zachary Levi after his brutal death in a certain movie that came out last year.
Oh, yeah.
So I want to like it. I want to be positive towards it. Shazam seems like a character that's really tough to bring live action. It's really tough, seems to me. It's DCEU, so and even in weird DCU, like maybe not DCEU, just DC from Warner Brothers right now. So that has me skeptical. And then they put out pictures of, or not, they didn't put out. There's set photos of him. They look pretty ridiculous. Set photos always look ridiculous. They look a little extra ridiculous, and to the level that people were making fun of. He's wearing a padded suit, so he put out a picture of himself, like, look how jacked I am.
And
he's jacked. He's not as jacked as the padded suit that he's wearing, though. Just the fact that you're in great shape doesn't mean that your arms are this big like they are in the padded suit. I have to see official marketing for it. There's also not like I don't know who's directing it. I don't know who the creative talent is on it. But it wasn't anyone that like caught your mind where I was like, oh man, they got fill in the blank, and so I'm excited for it. It was just kind of like, oh, okay, they're doing this. Okay, so I just don't have anything to go on besides I like Zachary Levi, and I don't like the set photos, and the character seems tricky. So I have no clue. DCU's track record, I'm very skeptical.
Have you watched season 4 of Gotham?
I've seen the beginning of season 4 of Gotham. I'm not caught up. So probably, I think I've seen through whenever the season break was, or the mid-season break, November, December. I haven't seen anything in January, February, March, April. May, June, July. I know the months of the year. I don't know why I'm listing those off for you guys. Chloe, did you want to come over here real quick? My daughter just opened the door, so I went, "Hey, Chloe." And as I say that to her, then my dog runs behind her, and he's bigger than her. Oh, Bo, did you want to be on? He doesn't want to be on camera. So he runs behind her and almost knocks her over. So anyway, I haven't, and so then I don't, even the Joker stuff that's happening and things like that, I haven't seen any of that stuff. Shh, Chloe.
We're tattling.
Shh. I haven't seen any of the Joker stuff, and there's a certain level of credibility that I was losing when they were trying to have this high school kid being Batman, beating guys up, and I was like, I don't buy this. I do not buy that this very skinny, lanky kid is beating guys up. So it was stretching credibility a little bit too much for me whenever I stopped watching.
Sorry. Who do you think Supreme Leader Snoke from Star Wars really is?
My theory is that he's someone from the Outer Rim. And that there's going to be some sort of... I don't think it's anyone that we've known before. And then my theory is that somewhat what they might be setting up, either in the books or some future trilogy, is that the next threat where they're going with all of this is there's this Outer Rim evil people out there that is going to turn into this new threat. So it's not, once again, rebellion against the government, or that sort of thing that we've had now for 9 movies, or 8 movies. Well, I guess... we have spin-offs in there too, so it is 9 movies. I think it's going to be this outside threat sort of thing. And I get that from the Thrawn novel, the novel they put out last year, Thrawn. I actually, just today, I was looking to see when the second Thrawn novel comes out. It doesn't come out till July, unfortunately. But so, it talks about Thrawn, why he got involved with the Empire, what he was trying to do, and it hints at a bunch of things outside of just the normal paradigm of Empire rebellion that we've seen thus far, or separatists, old republic type mentality type thing that we've had before. So that's my speculation of where he came from, and that there's other forces to him and things like that as to why we didn't really know who he was and maybe how he emerged so quickly. There you go.
Should I wear my Marvel logo or Civil War t-shirt for Infinity War?
Marvel or Infinity. I'm going to go Marvel logo, because that's what this one is. It's all a Marvel coming together. And guys, if you want to make sure your question does make it to the top, that I will ask it, since there's tons and tons of questions. Super Chat's your best way to go.
That 122 people watching us right now.
Woo! 122 people. So a lot of questions being thrown our way. Your best bet to get it on there is to do it as a Super Chat. All of those will be read. All of them will be acknowledged, and the question will be answered. And I won't give you just a quickie answer unless I don't have anything to say.
Okay. Do you like anime?
I haven't really watched much anime. That's kind of the things that people ask me about. Anime and wrestling are two that I've only had kind of superficial experience with. I had more with wrestling than anime. So I've seen Akira. I've seen Crying Freeman. Watched through Death Note after Death Note came out last year. But it's not something I've never dug deep into it. It's never been something that's been like, oh, this is really cool. I want to learn more and more and more about this. And I tend to, when I get into something, I become like obsessive about it. And that's never been one that I've gotten really into. On the professional wrestling side, I watched this documentary on Andre the Giant a couple days ago. That was pretty cool. I enjoyed that. She fell asleep. We're supposed to be watching Deep Blue Sea and watching sharks eat people. And she fell asleep like 10 seconds into it. And so then...
Yesterday was a long... Or 2 days ago. It was a long day. Long day.
She went to the PGA and played golf while pregnant.
I didn't play golf. Oh, I did watch golf.
I was confused by what happened. So anyway, I watched the Andre the Giant documentary. That's pretty cool.
What's my favorite TV show currently airing?
Did you just mumble a question? I have to say it loud enough so people...
Well, the question is, what's the wife's favorite TV show currently airing? And I don't know.
This Is Us?
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
So probably This Is Us. Or some weird British show.
That's true.
I don't know what I come home, she's watching these super duper...
I don't think those are currently airing.
I don't know. We don't know that she's streaming them, and they're super duper duper British shows that I don't know what they are. And then she watching like Grand Hotel, and it was like an actual Spanish from Spain show about a hotel for a little while there. So there's been a whole bunch of interesting ones that she watches.
Yeah, because I'm awesome, right?
Yes.
Okay. Good answer. Did you enjoy the Orville?
The Orville. So I actually reviewed almost all the episodes on my channel when the Orville aired. And it debuted right around the same time that Star Trek Discovery aired. And I reviewed all the episodes of Discovery on my channel. So they're all long, too. They're not short, so that's something you could quickly check out. But there were things about the Orville that I loved that felt like, wow, this is a 21st century version of Star Trek The Next Generation. I love some of that stuff, that it was allegorical storytelling, that there were like premises being explored. I loved that there were they didn't just take easy answers. They would have bittersweet conclusions. They would explore both sides of issues. They'd have intelligent people on both sides kind of presenting ideas. There are a few episodes I didn't like. Seth MacFarlane's views on religion were pretty heavy-handed. And the show was soured for me quite a bit by the comment section on my reviews. Were the most toxic of all the videos I put out there. Yesterday I put out a video saying the Infinity War might suck, and I got a ton of people viciously angry at me about it. None of it was nearly as toxic. I mean, yesterday was like, yeah, I knew this was coming. The stuff with the Orville was just toxic, of people that if I didn't like give a glowing review to every episode, people would just be horrible. And because I would raise concerns about the way Seth MacFarlane would address religion on the Orville, people would attack me because I'm a Christian and will mention that from time to time. I mean, it was just very toxic stuff. And that kind of soured me to the show a little bit because the two are sort of intertwined. Like, I don't think I'm going to review it again in the future because of how awful the comment section was.
Oh, is that me?
Yep.
Sorry. If you could pick an MCU movie to direct, which one would it be?
MCU movie?
That's what it says.
Oh, I don't know. It's tough because, you want to watch the movies. Making them means you're putting a big target on your back for when you mess it up. I'd have inclinations towards something like Guardians of the Galaxy, because it's kind of like a snarky 21st century version of Star Wars. So I think that's a fun playground to get to play with, and a fun group of characters to do stuff with. If I didn't go with them, I'd probably try and find, like, I'd want to do like the Hawkeye Black Widow movie, something that's more grounded, and I'd want to do it for Netflix. Or Daredevil for Netflix. Some stuff like that that's a little bit more grounded. Punisher for Netflix. I think that's probably where I would be a little bit more intrigued. That would feel a bit more right for me. Doing big, epic, the Avengers save this world stuff, I think that's a little bit too big for what I'm interested in. But stuff like the Marvel Netflix stuff would work for me. And some of those characters that aren't larger than life, you could bring them into Marvel Netflix, and I think that'd be pretty cool to work on.
Lots of people want to know if you like Stranger Things.
Yeah, I like Stranger Things. I liked season 1 a lot more than season 2. Season 2 for me was a pretty big disappointment. It seemed like with what they did with the season, a big theme of it was post-traumatic stress disorder. They got PTSD from what happened in the first season, and then they broke the team up. And so then 4 people over here, 4 people over here, and then our teenage girls off in this whole side adventure, and basically it's like a backdoor pilot for a spin-off show in episode 7 or 8 or something like that. And I just didn't like the way they divided things up. There's still great moments in there, great scenes in there, but the way the story played out, like, I didn't know what we were moving towards, and the dynamic of the characters together was lost because they were split up, and so that was pretty frustrated for me in that season 2. But yeah, it just as a interesting little nostalgia show. I had a good time with it.
Someone wrote a poem for you.
A poem? All right. Wow. Okay. Go for it. What's our poem?
Roses are red. My shirt's made of flannel. Sean Chandler Talks About is my favorite YouTube channel.
Very nice. Very nice. Well played.
I really enjoyed that. That was good.
Yeah, that was pretty nice.
Do you have a favorite ever Joker?
Favorite ever Joker?
Yep.
I ranked the Jokers about a month ago over on my channel. So I mean, I think Jack Nicholson, Mark Hamill, and Heath Ledger, they're so different playing the same character that I don't actually like comparing them. It's kind of funny. When I was in college, was in a small group of about 10 people, education majors. So we had to do a lot of presentations in front of each other. And our professor said that wanted us to critique each other's work in positive, negative, without using comparative language. Don't say best, worst, anything like that. And I really liked that. That was something that I was like, that's really good advice. That it's not useful to use comparative language in most situations. And it's kind of stuck with me that I don't really like picking favorites and using comparative language to talk about things. And then I started a YouTube channel, and the thing I'm famous for is using comparative language to review and analyze movies. So I'm in so many different ways. I like the diversity of the Jokers that we had. If I had to just pick one to take with me to a desert island, I would take Mark Hamill. Because then I also get Luke Skywalker as well as whatever his character's name was in Wing Commander 3.
Would you choose The Office over Parks and Rec?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought. I answered. I just want to make sure I was right. Someone wanted
That's
to know...
say I would choose The Office over Parks and Rec if that wasn't loud enough.
I'm sorry, I'm mumbling. Someone wanted to know if you're trying to look like a substitute teacher.
Trying to look like a substitute teacher? Because of my new glasses and my classy new look? Substitute teacher was not what I was going for, though if I was going to be a substitute teacher, since I'm an education major, I have a substitute taught before, and I've applied to be a sub many times before, I would wear something like this. So trying to be the cool sub that looked classy and sophisticated, not the angry old sub.
Super chat.
Cool, thanks, sweet. Who? What?
Justin.
Thank you.
Favorite upcoming Marvel Netflix season besides Daredevil?
Favorite upcoming one?
That's what it says.
I think I would go Luke Cage of the ones that I'm aware of that they're coming out, because they're talking about Iron Fist. I didn't hate Iron Fist as much as most people, but it's my type of schlock, so I could enjoy it a little bit more. And then of course my answer would be Daredevil season 3 if you hadn't said I couldn't pick that one. I loved season 1 and 2 of Daredevil. And I loved half of Luke Cage, but I didn't like the second half as much. But not in a way that made me think, oh, this show's just done with. It was just one of those ones that it seemed like maybe they went off in the wrong direction. And I'm optimistic, I'm hopeful that they could look at their season and look at the reviews and look at what people like me said about it and say, okay, this when we did this, people resonated well with it. And when we did this over here, they didn't. So, season 2, let's focus on doing this. And so Luke Cage is definitely the one that I'm most excited for.
Okay. I don't know if you'll have an answer for this one. What is the worst movie ever made?
Worst movie ever made? Those are tricky because there's a lot of different things you can mean by that. And there's movies that have just micro budget and they try and do a sci-fi movie with a micro budget, in which case it just comes off like this weird nonsense, low budget garbage. Then you have stuff like Sharknado that's trying to be a crappy movie. They have a budget, but they have a budget designed to make it look like over the top crappy movie. Then you've got things like The Room that had the budget to make the movie they were trying to make, but whatever happened with The Room happened. And then you have things like Transformers: The Last Knight, which is a movie that had all the resources in the world. I mean, $300 million, a writer's room with Oscar winners in it, and then they just make this insane thing. So when you say worst, you can mean a lot of things. Worst blockbuster, a movie that had all the resources that has no excuses, or you're talking about a low-budget garbage thing.
Deep Blue Sea 2.
Deep Blue Sea 2. And what's the most boring movie ever made? All those things considered, The Room is a very nice contender for the worst movie ever made. Because it had, by all accounts, seemed to have enough money to be better than it was. It's just a movie that every decision made, everything about the way it was executed was phenomenally bad. Just epically horrible. And because it's just people sitting around talking, there's no excuses. There's no suspension of disbelief. It's just the worst thing you've ever seen. Yeah, there we go, The Room.
Super chat.
Thank you.
Rich Reviews says, sorry for being late. Thoughts on Bosch season 4?
I haven't caught up on it yet. So we haven't been able to sit down to watch it. So I don't have thoughts on Bosch season 4 as of yet. So, we were all on board season 1, season 2. And then I watched season 3, but I don't think you even watched season 3.
No.
Yeah, so she even fell behind on season 3. But then it dropped just kind of right now that life's busy. And so we haven't been able to catch up on it yet, and especially with her being behind on it, it would be a show I'd be watching on my own, so it just hasn't happened. You actually asked somewhere else about Mickey Haller, the Lincoln lawyer, Matthew McConaughey showing up. That would be amazing if Matthew McConaughey showed up in season 5. I would be very much on board with that. And if you guys don't know what we're talking about, Bosch is a TV show based off of the writings of Michael Connelly, and the Lincoln lawyer is a movie based off of his writings, and they're in a shared universe, and the lead character, Bosch of the show Bosch, has connections to Mickey Haller, Matthew McConaughey's character from The Lincoln Lawyer. So potentially they could do something like that. That would be pretty cool.
Sorry, hold on. I know, I'm getting it. Sorry, I have it written down. Which is better, Spider-Man Homecoming or The Last Jedi?
Spider-Man Homecoming. The more time passes, I go, Spider-Man Homecoming, that's a really fun movie. There's a couple things that are, not great, that I didn't care for too much about it, but very enjoyable. They accomplished what they were trying to do in my mind. And that's a key thing with a movie is how high are their ambitions and how well did they accomplish them. This one's not trying to be the most epic, biggest story ever. It's just trying to be a fun, good movie, and it accomplished that for me. The Last Jedi was trying to turn the world of Star Wars upside down and, subvert our expectations, change things up. And the end result is a movie that was surprising. They did a lot of things I was not expecting to have happen. And in the end result is a movie that I can respect their ambitions. I can respect that they tried to not just copy the template of Empire Strikes Back, but the movie itself, the more I think about it, the more I just think, I don't like this Finn and Rose plotline at all. I don't like this version of Luke. I don't like that we didn't get a big payoff with Luke at the end that was real. There's just things like, if you were to make a list of what's the one thing that I want out of Luke returning, or if you were to make like the list of 2 or 3 things that I want out of Luke returning after 30 years, and we didn't get any of them. And we're not going to. And what they gave me instead of that wasn't something that made me go, you're so smart, wow, that's great. Instead, it was something that was like, that's a little bit clever, and it sours Luke for me a little bit. Luke's my favorite Star Wars character, and I'm going, that's who he becomes? I'm not crazy about this. Yes.
Super chat.
Oh, awesome.
From Justin. Have you watched Runaways on Hulu? It's very good.
I've watched the first 3 or 4 episodes. I've watched 3 or 4 episodes of it. So I watched it after she went to bed, and it's from the guy that did the OC and Chuck.
Oh.
And so it's Marvel. So it's like a Marvel superhero show about high schoolers. Like so it's something, and like it's got the music, it's got kind of the tone, and so I thought to myself, I bet she'd like this. I better watch it with her. So I never showed her an episode. It's life's been crazy. She's literally been sick for 4 months straight. Mm-hmm. And then the channel's been growing. So it's been growing in a direction that would even make sense for me to watch the Runaways. And so anyway, clearly my thought was she should check this out and she would like it. It's from a producer guy that we've liked the stuff that he's done before. It's even got some cast, some people that I love it when they show up and stuff. It's got a bunch of those people in it. I didn't love it so much that I just had to keep watching. I liked it enough to say, I'll hold off on watching this to watch it with her because I don't think I want to watch this whole thing 2 times in a row. That would be my quick take on it. And I watched it when, I think they released it in kind of batches of 3 or 4 episodes or something like that. I watched it when they'd only put the first batch out. So it was several months back. So I don't have fresh insights on it, but that's where things are at. Super chat?
Super chat.
Thanks for the question. Rich reviews, cool.
Would you okay, I think he's making a recommendation.
Okay.
So clarify Rich Reviews if I'm getting this wrong. I think he's recommending that you watch the film Paterno.
Paterno?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the one on HBO? I think he's talking about a movie that's on HBO.
If so, we can watch it.
We just signed up for HBO, so it's on there. So if that's what you're saying, recommending we watch the movie Paterno that's on HBO, we can very likely do that.
Okay. They asked if you like Greatest Showman, so I responded, of course, in all caps, that I love it.
So you got to talk loud.
I'm sorry.
So she said, people keeps asking, did I like The Greatest Showman? I did. I actually reviewed it, but I only reviewed it for my patrons because when it released, I didn't review right at first. And so I was like, okay, I'll just hold off. And actually, that's not true. What happened was I shot a review for it, and then something happened and the file got lost. Ooh. And I'd done a proper review for it the way I normally shoot my reviews, and it had taken 30 minutes or something like that. And I just lost the file, and so I was just so frustrated. I was like, I don't want to reshoot that, but I can do a single take that I can put on my Patreon page, just because if I put it on my main channel, then it's something that new people watch, and I don't want new people to watch something that I just kind of winged it. Whereas patrons are some of my strongest supporters. So I put it, anyway, that's backstory on why there's not a review of the movie on my channel. I thought the music is, of course, great. Hugh Jackman is, of course, the true Greatest Showman. Zac Efron is a nice follow-up in the mix. I thought the story that they were telling with it was better than the storytelling of it. The movie felt like they were montaging an interesting story. And so they put an idea out there and you'd be like, well, that's pretty cool. And then it would move on to the next thing and move on to the next thing. And I thought the themes that they were exploring, the ideas, the characterization of this guy just so set, that was so insecure about himself and his place in the world, and in trying to get people to accept other people, but he was always seeking acceptance from rich people. I just think all of that was very fascinating and a great exploration of something in montage form. She hardly sees anything 2 times in the theater, and she went to go see it every week for like a month, 2 months straight. Her friends would be like, I haven't seen it yet. We're going! And she would kept leaving to go see The Greatest Showman, and then pre-ordered it early, and then only listened to the soundtrack until probably 4 years in the future from now. It'll just be that every time she's listening to music.
I answered a question for you, so I need to check that I answered it correctly. Doctor Who or Doctor Strange?
Doctor Strange.
Okay, that's what I said.
I've tried to get into Doctor Who. I've on multiple occasions checked out the first season of the show, whichever kicked back in 2005 or something like that. I checked out a season of Torchwood, the one with Bowerman. Checked out one of the things with that, and I actually like the Torchwood more than Doctor Who. I've heard people tell me, no, just start at series 2 of Doctor Who, that when that Doctor kicks up, and then other one's like, no, pick it up when this Doctor starts, and this is the one that you'll like. I've tried to like Doctor Who, and it just hasn't worked for me. My son got Lego Dimensions recently. His birthday was Tuesday, and so he got it, and it's got the Doctor Who one in it, so he might learn about Doctor Who. But I would go Doctor Strange, just I thought that, I really like that movie, so. Benny Gumby.
We got another super chat. Rich reviews.
All right, Rich, what do we got?
Are you going to watch the Royal Wedding in May?
Am I going to watch the Royal Wedding? I guess I had to say, give you perspective. I didn't even know there was a Royal Wedding coming up in May, so that tells you kind of where I'm at on some of these things. She'd probably watch it, so if I'm there...
I won't watch it, but I know that it's happening.
Oh, vindictive. You're just mad at the royal family?
No, I didn't watch the last one.
I wouldn't imagine so. There's a side of that's sort of like watching celebrity weddings and things like that just doesn't appeal to me at all. It's just not my version of being obsessed with celebrities. Doesn't involve watching their weddings. I have my own quirks and weird things in it, but not that particular one. And I don't follow. Was it British royalty? We're talking about.
Yes, that's what we're talking about.
I don't follow British royalty at all. We're colonists over here, so. And in particular in Texas, so we even take being from Texas a little bit more seriously than being from the United States. So don't follow the royal weddings.
Someone asked how they could support you in Patreon.
There's a link down below in the description. If you like my channel, want to support my channel, help what we're doing, the link down below. There's several different kind of tiers for support over on Patreon. I have some exclusive behind the scenes stuff. Do some live streams over there as well. Some exclusive reviews and things like that. There's several tiers starting. I mean, you can go from $1 to a lot more than $1 if you want to. And, if you do higher numbers and you request a movie, I'll review it on the channel from time to time. If you're just at $1, then you can see all the exclusive stuff and the live streams and things like that, but you can't necessarily request movies. So it's all over there at the link in the description. The link's in the description, all my videos. I'll give you all my social media accounts on there so that if you want to message me or something like that, it's a little bit easier to contact me over there. So yeah, that's what you can do if you want to support me over on Patreon, and I'd greatly appreciate it. Like, that sort of base support from Patreon is some of the reasons why I'm able to, if I mentioned this earlier, some of you guys might have heard this, we're working on building out a new space for a new recording space. Like, right now I'm in a crowded, small room that's junky and dirty, and we're going to build an office out so that we could do things right over there and have my lights hung and everything. And a lot of that goes back to patron supporters. And I was able to go to a film festival last year because of my patron support. So if you like my channel, want to support my channel, you can support me over there. There is some behind the scenes stuff, but the stuff on my main channel, of course, will always be here for everyone.
I'm sorry. What do you think Hawkeye's going to be doing in Infinity War?
The theory I heard about what Hawkeye's going to be doing, that was the only one that stuck with me, is that he's looking for Captain Marvel. He's on the Captain Marvel journey. I don't know what that means. I don't have like a deeper statement about. I can't expand upon that except to say Thanos is showing up, and so they're doing all they're battling with him, and then they got Hawkeye because that's the way they phrased it. He's off on his own mission, doing his own thing. Captain Marvel, and then post-credit scene, he finally finds Captain Marvel, and they high five, and she's like, "Let's go stop Thanos in Avengers," and then they break the fourth wall, look at the camera, Avengers, and then they say the title to the movie. That's probably not going to happen. I don't think she's listening to me. Like, she would have rolled her eyes at me after what I just did, and she didn't.
I'm reading these comments and trying to help you. Do you like anime?
You've already asked that.
I'm sorry. I've been trying to delete them, and as I've been asking them, my apologies. Okay, I haven't asked this one. If you could bring back any canceled show, why did you just spit? I didn't ask you that yet. What?
What?
Why did you just choke and die?
I don't know. I just started drinking right at the wrong moment. And for some reason started laughing as I was choking. So then I started crying on camera for 100 and whatever people to see.
If you could bring back any canceled show,
any canceled show, what would I bring back?
I think it depends on if you could bring it back right after.
Yeah, I mean, are we talking about Firefly wasn't canceled, and there, or even like with Dollhouse, even if it was like, no, we're gonna bring it back. We're not gonna cancel it after season 2. Well, that doesn't work because season 2, like, they came to a conclusion on Dollhouse.
Yeah.
That, I mean, it felt rushed. It felt like we got to make this all this come together, and so I'd give kind of different answers depending on what the exact scenario was. Or are you talking about, no, 2019, they're going to bring Firefly back 15 years later? It all kind of depends. Firefly's the one that would probably come to mind of. That's a show that had more story to tell, that the way it was released, the marketing of it didn't catch it in its time. People loved it. That I think if things had worked out a little bit differently, I think there's a lot more good to be had with that show.
We're getting some, not legit hate, but you don't watch Game of Thrones?
Oh yeah, people are surprised when they find out I don't watch Game of Thrones. We've seen season 1 of Game of Thrones.
Did we watch the whole thing? Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I remember the end.
Yeah, there's dragons, fire.
Oh, I was thinking decapitation, but.
Every episode's decapitation. But yes, it's like, your hero! No more.
I don't think you've seen... Have you watched The Handmaid's Tale?
No, I haven't watched The Handmaid's Tale.
I can't watch it right now for sure. There's just not a chance. Did I ask you if you watched Gotham?
Yeah, we talked about Gotham.
I'm sorry. Who's better, Guardians or Avengers?
They're very different, so they're difficult to compare because one is a group of scoundrels that fumble their way forward into saving the galaxy. The other are a group of people that are legitimately trying to be superheroes, trying to stop gigantic superheroes. Based off what we have thus far, the Avengers is better. Because I don't like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. And they didn't go on an adventure that I wanted to go on them with. To save the galaxy.
I'm sorry, though. It just sounded so I like the tone that you said that in. It was very, very good. Is Ben Affleck stepping down as Batman?
Yeah, I think he's gone. I think especially because enough time has passed. It seemed like his soul was wounded when people didn't like Batman v Superman. Whatever went down, it seemed like he poured his heart into that movie, and all these rumors of him rewriting his own dialogue and stuff like that. The movie wasn't well received. People got targets on him again. He went through a lot of stuff in his life in that period of time. I don't want to go into all of it. It doesn't seem appropriate to talk on here, but he had a lot of life happen over the last year or so, or last couple of years. And so then Justice League, DCU's a total mess. He gets kicked off of the Batman entirely. When you're a guy that's won an Oscar for screenwriting and your movie's won Best Picture and you're kicked off of directing kind of what was a dream project, or however that works out, that maybe it was still his dream project and then his dream became a nightmare, you don't want to do that anymore. Then you see Justice League and it was, essentially equally poorly received as Batman v Superman, because even the people that more people probably like Justice League than like Batman v Superman, but the people that like Batman v Superman respect it. They're like, this is really good, whereas the Justice League people are like, it was kind of fun, it was at least a little bit better, but it's like a mediocre thumbs up, where there's people that actually respect what Zack Snyder was doing with Batman v Superman. I think that he's just burned on the whole thing, and I'd be pretty surprised if he stuck around with... And they haven't said anything. Enough's time passed, and there's nothing at all locking him in on doing Batman. It's 6 months after Justice League, and they haven't said Ben Affleck is doing this movie. That is such a red flag warning. So unless he comes out and he says, hey guys, I was working through a bunch of personal stuff. I was going through a lot of things. We've worked through it. I'm the Batman. I'd have a big grin on my face. A passionate Ben Affleck. I'm on his side. Justice League Batman. What do we got?
Super chat.
Super chat. Awesome.
Rich reviews.
Cool.
Thoughts on the CW expanding into Sunday nights?
So thanks, Rich, for another question. Thoughts on CW expanding into Sunday nights? It all kind of depends on what I haven't seen what lineup they're looking to do on Sunday nights and anything like that. CW aims for a much younger demographic of people, obviously. Shh. They're going for teenagers as opposed to older people. Shh. And so that just drastically changes the way your model for doing things. I don't know. I would just have to... I think with the way the CW does shows and their demographic and their people that watch the shows watch them on apps. They watch them later on. So I don't think it even matters too much when their shows air on the CW, because what person that watches Arrow doesn't know how to get on a website and watch it later? What person? I mean, everyone that watches their shows they probably have an insanely high disproportionate number of people watching their shows on a phone or a laptop. So I that would be kind of my quick take on it. Chloe, if you keep talking, you're going to need to leave.
Do you watch Walking Dead?
I watched when they announced it. I was as earlier of an adopter as there was. I bought an iTunes season pass to season 1 before it debuted and watched seasons 1 through 2 right then and there before it exploded. Before it was the thing everyone was watching is when I was watching it. But the show seems to kind of have go through cycles of... they think they found a safe place only to discover that the real monsters are the humans and they gotta go somewhere else. And they find a safe place only to discover that the real monsters are the other humans and they gotta... And that goes through that cycle. And so I was also one of the first people to adopt the show, as one of the first people to leave the show mid-third season. It's around when the third season happened, my wife never liked zombie stuff, so she was never on board with it. But around that time is when our son was born, so she was super not interested in watching that one. Some of the stuff that happens in season 3 with Rick's family and things, certainly not something that she would be interested in checking out at the time. So I just stopped watching around then, and everything I've heard from people since then is that the show just kind of goes through the same cycle, and everyone hits a point where they get burned out. It's at a different point in time. And people that kind of binged watched it starting later on got burned out much later on in the show. People that started early on got burned a little bit earlier. That's my quick take on it.
Are you more excited for Incredibles 2 or Wreck-It Ralph 2?
I think I'm going to go... I think I'm going to go Incredibles 2 because the title of Wreck-It Ralph 2 is just so bad that it makes me think they've lost their mind. So a title bad enough to make me less excited for it. But yeah, Incredibles 2. One of the great Pixar movies. Brad Bird was my pick to direct Star Wars Episode 7. The guy that did the first Incredibles and did this one. And then he did the Mission Impossible movie a few years back. And so all this has me very excited. And The Incredibles, in certain ways, was kind of ahead of its time because it was before the MCU. And so now we're in the middle of so deep into comic book movies are the dominant genre. So there's so many things you can do with The Incredibles. I hope that's what the movie takes advantage of. I was kind of nervous when they said the movie picks up right when the first one ends. That has me nervous, but beyond that, I'd go with The Incredibles. We're going to go 8 more minutes. So if you want to get final super chats in, if you have a question you definitely want us to answer, try it as a super chat. Throw it in there a few more times. Pick some, if you want to pick some quick ones and then some other ones.
Which is better, Logan or Dark Knight?
Dark Knight would be the one that I'd be more likely to watch more.
Oh, I'm surprised at that one.
Why?
You're such a big fan of Logan.
Yeah, I've been a big fan of Dark Knight too.
That's true.
One has Batman, so I would go the Dark Knight. But I mean, you're comparing two great movies. I'm more of a Batman fan, and Logan is a harder movie to watch. It's not as
That's true.
Both of them have some pretty heavy stuff that happens, but like Logan it's a movie about death. And so for that reason, it's a movie I'm not as nearly as likely to keep rewatching since I don't want to be depressed all the time.
What? Let's see. The Office or Breaking Bad?
You're comparing two opposite things, so it's tough to say. As a complete unit, Breaking Bad is without question superior because the quality never dropped. It's kind of a perfect series. It's a series that we've got this much story, and that's how much story we're going to tell, and that's what they did, and it ended great. The Office kind of it just went bonkers at a certain point in time, and it did a lot of terrible things. Like, we almost stopped watching it. We've never rewatched the last season because
not in its entirety. I've watched like the last episode.
Yeah, the last episode, but the last season, I don't want to watch Jim and Pam almost break up. Like, I don't. That's such a terrible
divorce.
That's such a terrible direction to take the show. And there's adding Gabe into the mix and all sorts of other things, or like Pam's flirting with the cameraman and stuff. Like, it's just things that just a terrible direction to take the show. So. The big problem with The Office is that where it started to go downhill is what made it work early on is that they had a bunch of normal characters that represented people you might know at your job, and then they had sprinkled in a few people that were insane. And so you're watching normal people react to insane people. And as the show went along, they turned more and more of the normal people into insane people. So Jan becomes an insane person. Ryan becomes an insane person. Even David Wallace becomes an insane person. And they just kept doing that where more and more and more people were crazy, over-the-top, bonkers characters. And I mean, that just kind of killed the show for me. Like, what the show is supposed to be about an office, not about, look at this wacky group of people. We got a question.
Super chat,
thanks.
Rich Reviews. He said, I binged on Collider Movie Talk episodes for a year, got up to 9 months before I had to quit.
Woo! Is there a question? So for me, I actually, kind of even my journey into doing this somewhat goes to the original version of watching the precursor of Movie Talk going way back is that John Campea had a show called For Your Consideration. There was a monthly show, and he'd had Steve Frosty from Collider, the blog, on there, which is funny because they got a thing going on between the two of them now. And so that was the precursor, and then he did a daily version of it that kind of failed, and I watched that when it was daily live. And then somewhere in there, he started doing For Your Consideration on AMC. And they let him do that, and then they decided to change the title to Movie Talk. That was really the first YouTube movie punditry thing that I watched. I was like, this is cool. I bet someday I could do something like that. And so my journey into getting into stuff like this went back to when I first discovered Movie Talk, back in the precursor to it. So, I used to watch it all the time, and then, like a lot of people, there's been they made some changes on the show, and Campea leaving. Campea was the one that I felt had I felt he's the guy that has the best, more rounded perspective on things, and he works well with some of these other opinions, kind of filling it out in different perspectives. And I don't feel like they have as well rounded right now. So I don't think I've listened to a single full episode this year, and I used to watch it listen to it every day. Or I listened to the podcast at work before, and this year I'm going through audiobooks, so that's the other reason I kind of dropped some of it. Anyway.
Do you have a guess as to what, Avengers, the next Avengers movie is going to be called? Avengers 4?
No, because it seems very intentional what they're doing. That whatever the title is a spoiler for the movie, and so that's why they haven't told us. That's why it's like it's not Part 2. It's not Infinity War Part 2, but obviously it is Infinity War Part 2. It's the sequel to this movie. That's why it's 1 year later. So it's almost certainly that. I don't want to go into the too many speculative spoiler type things, but heavy reason to believe Time Stone plays into what's going to go on in the future. And so that could time in. That would be the only thing I would guess would be something in the title that something to do with time. But I really don't have a guess because I assume it's a spoiler for the movie, and I don't even really want to go too far down that path.
Have you seen Love, Simon yet?
No, I did not see that one.
Do you have a favorite Muppet movie?
The one I have the most nostalgia for is The Great Muppet Caper. We had that recorded on VHS back when I was growing up. And so I'd watch that. Was the guy from Beethoven, Charles Grodin?
Oh.
He's like he's in it. Very prominent. So I watched that one all the time when I was growing up. And then when they did the revival, the first one in this current little deal, I thought that was a very cool way to bring back the Muppets. 3-4 more minutes. So if you want to final questions, throw them in there. Any final super chats? Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you so much for helping us get to 30,000 subscribers, which is nuts.
Are you? Which are you more excited for, Ant-Man and the Wasp or Deadpool 2?
I think I'm kind of feeling Ant-Man and the Wasp, actually. But, I mean, they're both ones that I'm very excited for, that I think I'm going to really enjoy. Just, there's some... I've gotten kind of a weird vibe in the way they've marketed... What they haven't done with the marketing for Deadpool 2, it just doesn't feel like they've caught that wave like they did with the first one. Whereas with the MCU, they have so much momentum, and I just, right now in my life, like we live inside the MCU, talking about MCU movies with people, there's always one I have to watch, always one I have to do a video about, so I just kind of live in the MCU world, so naturally, that's where I'm more inclined towards. Well, you can come up here, Liam, you're in your underwear, you can't come up here. Alright, final moments, final questions, what do we got? Well, not for, you don't get to ask. You can ask questions whatever you want. Asking the people out there. You're being watched by like 100. Well, Chloe.
77 people right now.
77 people are watching you right now.
What do you think about Cloak and Dagger?
I don't know enough about it, the source material, to have a strong opinion about it. So I'm mildly interested. I haven't even watched the trailer for it yet, so I don't know too much to have anything interesting to say about it. That's what I'll say.
Multiple recommendations that you watch Son of Batman?
I've seen it.
Oh, okay.
It's been a while. I watched it whenever it first came out. So I watch a good percentage of the animated movies that they put out, and so I haven't seen all of them. But I even put out a video where I ranked a bunch of the animated Batman movies, and it's like 17 on the list that I've seen. So I have seen it. It's just been a while. I don't have too much to say. I'm not terribly fond of the Damian Wayne character. I've never particularly cared much for him.
It's pretty much confirmed that when X-Men comes to the MCU, Marvel will reboot them. Do you think they'll reboot Deadpool as well?
I hope not. I think that what I've said all along on my channel, I've said this many, many, many times on my channel, that my thought is reboot everything except Deadpool. Because he breaks the fourth wall. He's a character that he's got momentum, people enjoy him, but because he's meta, he looks at the camera and says things, you don't have to reboot him, and that's within the character of who he is. There's no reason to reboot the character, unless Deadpool 2 is awful. If Deadpool 2 is awful, maybe we don't need a PG-13 Deadpool in the Disney universe. Maybe we don't need that. So, I don't think that they would shoot a franchise that's making that much money, especially when there's such an easy way to continue without it. But I wouldn't be surprised if the reason that they delayed Dark Phoenix and New Mutants is because they're trying to wrap things up. I wouldn't be surprised by that. Or maybe that's what Avengers 4 is that they go back in time, change the entire timeline to do a Days of Future Past one more time, and we retcon in the X-Men. The X-Men show up, and they're the ones that kill Thanos. To go back to a question that was asked at the very beginning of this, it is Wolverine that kills Thanos with his adamantium claws.
And is it Hugh Jackman?
No. It can't be Hugh Jackman. That wouldn't make any sense.
Oh, well, that's too bad.
It's a new timeline. It's not even Logan. He's Hank. Hank Wolverine is his name.
Ugh. Why are you watching Infinity War twice?
Pretty sure a bunch of the people in the chat board right now are watching Infinity War twice. I mean, the full story to why I'm watching it twice is because one of the guys that I go see the movies with a lot, Peter, he couldn't go. He's actually seeing Weird Al in concert on Thursday night and bought tickets long time ago. Hey, thanks, buddy. That's my son gave this to me. So he couldn't go, but he wanted to see it with me, and so at the Alamo Drafthouse wanted to get a bunch of people. So he's like, "Hey, do you want to go see it with me on Saturday?" I was like, "Absolutely, I'll go see it with you on Saturday." But like, this is my job. This is a legit job for me. So I can't determine when I watch my biggest cash cow for the job part of this, a Marvel movie, until Saturday. I mean, I'd have to, on that Saturday, I have to drop my ranking of the MCU. So I mean, I just have to see it as early as possible. That's the full story of why I'm doing that. Like, I'm taking off work on Friday to make sure that this MCU ranking video is the best one that I've ever done. That's kind of where my channel is at right now. So that's the full story between why I'm seeing it twice. But it's a Marvel movie. Like, when Star Wars movies and when Marvel movies come out, I normally see them twice. That's a pretty obvious reasons why I'm going to see that one twice. Liam, you can't do that, buddy.
When is your review for Infinity War going to drop?
Infinity War will drop Friday, 6 a.m. Central Time. I'll do it after I watch it. Liam, you got to go. You need to go.
Come here, bud. Over here.
Yeah, I'll review it that night, and then I'll drop it 6 a.m. That's why 6 a.m. Central is when I prefer to drop all of my videos, just so it's a normal thing. Basically what I like to do, because enough of you guys have the notifications clicked, I wake up at like 6:15 in the morning, and so then it's nice to wake up. My video's only been up for 15 minutes, and it's like, hey, look, I already got some comments. Hey, look, it's already got some views. So it's just like a nice little way to wake up for me. And recently, the last 2 days doing these... why the Infinity War is going to suck, why it's going to be great, and I wake up and it's got 1,000 views and it's 7 a.m. and stuff like that. That's kind of get a kick out of that. That's a lot of fun for me. So that's why I drop them at the time that I do. So anyway, that's when that one drops, and then Saturday 6 a.m. Central Time, MCU ranking 19.
Did I ask you about Supernatural?
No, you haven't asked me about Supernatural. Do you have a question about Supernatural?
Do you watch Supernatural? Is the question.
Go final little minute. If you got any final super chats, I'll answer the Supernatural one. If you get a super chat, I'll take that one. If not, whatever question you want to be last one. We watched. We didn't watch it on its initial run, but I just decided to start watching it right after Liam was born. Liam, you need to stop
now.
Right after this guy right here that's making noise underneath this table was born, I put it on, and this is a terrible idea. She's not like a horror movie, scary movie person anyway. And then Supernatural.
It was a good show. Supernatural
kicks off, and mothers dying, babies, and stuff like that is the worst thing possible. And we're both of those guys are kind of CW darlings. One of them was prominent on Gilmore Girls, which we watched all that. The other one was prominent in a season of Smallville, and I love Smallville. So them coming together was awesome. And also both of them are Austinites. They've got homes in Austin. I've got a bunch of my friends have run. Jared Paladecki, the one from Gilmore Girls, he goes to like all the concerts that are cool. ACL, Austin City Limits Live, their festival. He's there every year. So I have a bunch of my friends that have pictures with him and stuff. So I'm biased to want to watch the show, but we binge watched 2 seasons, and then she's like, I'm done. She literally just went, I'm done. I can't watch this show anymore. And we dug it. Everything about it, we were digging it. Just she couldn't do it, and so it wasn't
My
one.
imagination was too hyperactive after watching the shows. I couldn't.
So then it just wasn't one that we continued watching. So there's only positive things to say about it. If we'd started at the beginning, maybe we could have gone. If we watched it before kids came around, and that it's just too much for me to catch up on. And so when I'm so far behind, I just kind of go. There's so many things I can be up to date on, so it didn't work for me. Final question: what do you got for me?
What movie are you looking forward to that isn't being talked about very much?
So the Predator movie from Shane Black. Not much buzz about it because they haven't put a trailer out. There haven't been any official pictures. There's not a lot of chat. There's just they did some reshoots and apparently they redid most of the third act. So that was actually my most anticipated of the year. That's the movie I had most anticipated. But then there's no trailer, so it's kind of my anticipation for it's kind of dropped because there's been nothing new. So that's a big one that comes to mind. I don't even know Creed 2's. I don't think Creed 2's going to come out this year, so I can't say that one. I forgot to put Mission Impossible. That's another one. People talk about it in certain ways, but not as much as you would think. But the big one would be the new one, Dragged Across Concrete, from the guy that did Brawl and Cell Block 99 and Bone Tomahawk. I love Brawl and Cell Block 99. Mel Gibson's going to be in this one. Same director, writer. Liam, you need to go now. That is so excited. And then, so he's got a new movie, Mel Gibson in it. Perfect for the way this guy does movies, the brutality of it. So that would be my pick for the one no one's talking about. That's it.
Well, we have other questions, but you...
Alrighty. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we actually went way longer than I was planning on it, which we do every single time.
Your nose did so well,
yeah, my nose isn't turning red. Normally my nose turns red in these videos, and I'm not itching it a whole bunch. Right after this, I have to shoot my Black Panther review, so my nose will probably be bright red by the end of that. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, asking questions, liking, subscribing, putting in super chats, supporting over on Patreon, all the things you've done to get us to 30,000 subscribers, 4 million lifetime views for the channel. All that's because of you guys engaging, watching, making it happen. Thank you so much. There you go. See you later. And I think we're going to make these a regular thing each week. So once again, let us know when you want us to do these. Bye-bye.